Welcome to The Explainer. So, how does a company that brings cell phones to millions and becomes this beloved household name end up just handing over the keys to its kingdom? Today, we're unpacking the incredible rise and, well, the incredible fall of Digicel.
Right, let's dive into this because this isn't just a business story. Nope. This is a tale of a revolutionary idea that was fueled by billions and billions of dollars in debt. It all led to this dramatic showdown that would decide the fate of a corporate empire. This is the story of Digicel. So let's set the scene. The year is 2000, and if you're in the Caribbean, your telecom market is basically dominated by one single, expensive, and frankly outdated player. We're talking about a monopoly that had been around for nearly a century. But a change was definitely coming.
Now, what's so wild about this slide is just how stark the difference was. You had cable and wireless operating a system where phones were basically luxury items. You needed a credit check, you had to sign a contract, and get this, they even charged you to receive a call. Digicel just came in and flipped the entire model on its head. They didn't just compete, they totally democratized communication for the average person. So, how in the world did they do it so fast? Well, the founder, Dennis O'Brien, brought this three-part strategy that he'd perfected in Ireland. People started calling it the Irish playbook. First, he used his partner Ericsson's money to build the network. Second, he made phones accessible to absolutely everyone with prepaid plans. And third, he captured the hearts of the public by sponsoring cultural icons like Usain Bolt. I mean, it was just brilliant. And you know what? This disruptive model worked incredibly well. Digicel expanded at this absolutely breathtaking pace, becoming a huge regional player. But, and this is a big but, this explosive growth was fueled by a dangerous and, as it turns out, toxic ingredient: massive, massive amounts of debt. And this slide right here highlights a super critical point. The strategy wasn't just about expansion, it was also about extraction. See, the company took on billions in debt, not just to build new networks, but to pay out over $1 billion in special dividends directly to its founder. This is a really crucial detail for understanding what happens next. This timeline just shows you the sheer scale of the company's global ambition. They replicated their island hopping model from the Caribbean all the way over to Oceania. They went into these high-risk markets like Papua New Guinea and somehow turned them into cash cows. By 2015, they were a global force. But that debt, it was just piling up and up.
But then, in 2015, ambition just collided with market reality. The IPO, which was supposed to be the company's financial salvation, it failed. Investors got spooked by the massive debt and the fact that the founder had absolute control. With the IPO debt in the water, the escape hatch was gone. Digicel was officially trapped, facing what they called a wall of debt it simply couldn't pay back.
So, with the IPO off the table, Digicel had to face its financial demons head-on. And one of the biggest of those demons was something they had absolutely no control over: currency fluctuations. Okay, so the crucial point here is this fundamental mismatch. Digicel was earning its money in dozens of local currencies, like the Haitian gourd or the Jamaican dollar. But it had to pay back its billions in debt in US dollars. So when those local currencies weakened, which they did in 2016, that debt burden just became heavier and heavier, literally overnight. This currency pressure pushed the company into a long, really painful winter. They were forced into a series of what they call distressed exchanges. Think of it like this: if you can't pay your mortgage, you might ask the bank to let you pay a little less each month, but for a longer time. That's basically what Digicel was doing, just on a massive billion-dollar scale. They were just kicking the can down the road until, well, there was no road left. By 2024, the game was finally up. The can just couldn't be kicked any further down the road. A final, dramatic restructuring was needed, one that would fundamentally change who owned and controlled the entire Digicel empire. Now, the key to this whole final deal is a concept called debt equitization. It sounds like a fancy term, but it's really just a simple trade. The lenders, who were owed billions, they agreed to cancel $1.7 billion of that debt, and in exchange, they stopped being lenders and became the new owners of the company. And this table right here, it shows that transfer of power crystal clear. Control shifted from one man, the founder, to a whole group of American investment firms. We're talking specialists in distressed debt, like PGIM and GoldenTree. Dennis O'Brien was no longer in charge. His lenders were.
This shift is just perfectly personified by the change at the very top. The era of the charismatic, risk-taking founder, Dennis O'Brien, was over, and in came Rajiv Suri, a professional technocrat, a turnaround expert, as the new chairman. The mission was no longer expansion. It was all about efficiency and repayment.
So what does this new, more pragmatic Digicel even look like? Well, with the creditors now in control, the entire corporate strategy has fundamentally changed. The era of the rebel is over. You see, the new playbook is all about discipline. Instead of risky global expansion, the focus is on monetizing what they already have. They're pushing high-growth fintech services like mobile money, they're expanding into corporate IT solutions, and they're making smart, targeted investments in infrastructure. The new mantra is simple: cash is king. And, nothing captures this new conservative mindset better than this quote from the founder himself. The guy who built an empire on being the first and the fastest now says there's no business case for 5G without outside help. That's a stunning reversal, and it speaks volumes about the new Digicel. And this leaves us with the core tension for Digicel's future. I mean, the company is stable now, it's financially sound, and it's still vital to the Caribbean. But that era of rebellion, it's been replaced by an era of repayment. And what you should really take away from all this is a powerful lesson on the double-edged sword of debt. It can build an empire, and it can just as easily take it all away.